been thinking about something lately. This quiet question that sits with me sometimes. What happens when you did everything right and you're still not where you thought you'd be? And when I say here, it could be anything. Money, career, your body, your relationship, your confidence, or your life in general. Everyone's here is different, but the feeling is similar. You look at your life and think, I've worked, I've improved, I've stayed disciplined, I've healed, I've taken responsibility. So why does it still feel like I'm in the same place? It's not anger, it's confusion. There were nights where I would sit with that feeling and genuinely try to audit my life. I'd think about the hours I'd put in, the discipline and the sacrifices, the times I chose growth over comfort when no one was watching. And the strange part was, I wasn't bitter about it, I was just quietly confused. Because if effort counts for something, why does progress sometimes feel invisible? Because no one prepares you for this. Not for this phase. It's the in-between, the mid-climb. Not the rock bottom, not the breakthrough, just the stretch where you're not failing, but you're not arriving either. You did the work for years. You stayed consistent when no one was watching. You rebuilt parts of yourself that fell apart. You outgrew habits. You matured, and still nothing dramatic shifted. Sometimes it's not even that nothing changed. It's that the change feels invisible. The kind of growth that no one applauds because no one can see it. That's what makes it harder. You can't measure it, you can't show it, you just feel it. And that's when the doubt gets quiet and personal. It doesn't shout, it whispers when you're alone. Am I delusional for believing I'm meant for more? I've asked myself that question more times than I'd like to admit. You start wondering if maybe the vision you have for your life is unrealistic, if maybe you misread your own potential, and that thought can sit with you longer than people realise. Did I miss my window, or is this just my life? That's the part people don't admit out loud. We're taught that if you work hard, it pays off. If you improve yourself, life expands. If you stay consistent, momentum builds. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes you just get better inside the same room. I remember realising that at one point, and it was honestly uncomfortable, because I could feel that I had grown. My mindset and my discipline had changed. Even the way I looked at life had changed, but my environment hadn't moved at the same pace. And that's a strange place to sit in, when you feel bigger inside but your life hasn't expanded yet. That was the uncomfortable realisation for me. Hard work isn't rare. Most people work hard. Most people believe they deserve more. But very few people are taught about direction. Effort builds strength, repetition builds skill, but repetition without expansion builds containment. And containment doesn't feel dramatic. It feels stable, predictable, and safe, until one day you realise you've mastered a space that no longer fits you. You can become excellent, but inside a space that doesn't stretch you. And then you start thinking the problem is you. Maybe I'm not good enough. I started too late. I overestimated myself. When maybe the issue isn't capability, maybe it's placement. There's a very specific kind of frustration that happens when your internal identity has expanded, but your external reality hasn't caught up yet. You feel bigger inside than your life reflects. You've changed in ways that aren't always visible. Your reactions are different, your standards are different, the way you carry yourself is different, but your environment still interacts with the old version of you. That disconnect can feel suffocating, and that gap hurts. Not because you crave attention, but because you crave alignment. You want your outer life to mirror your inner growth, and when it doesn't, you start questioning everything. You start wondering if you misread yourself, if you overestimated your potential, if maybe you were too optimistic and about what you could build. It's easy to assume the problem is your capability, that if you were truly ready, something would have shifted by now. But maybe capability isn't the missing piece. Maybe this phase isn't about proving anything. Maybe it's preparation. Preparation that doesn't look impressive, the kind that builds discipline, that strengthens resilience without applause, the kind that teaches you how to keep showing up when no one is validating you. Those things matter. They don't just look impressive while they're forming. So maybe the question isn't, how can I work harder? Maybe it's, where is all this effort actually going? Because sometimes the issue isn't intensity, it's direction. That's something I had to sit with for a while. Because it's uncomfortable to admit that you might have been pouring years of effort into something that was never designed to take you where you wanted to go. Not because the effort was wasted, but because the direction wasn't fully honest. And honesty with yourself can take time. Sometimes it's about stepping into conversations you've been avoiding, putting yourself in rooms that stretch you, letting go of something that technically works but no longer grows you. Redirection doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just one brave decision at a time. I'm still figuring that out myself. There are days where I still question things, days where I wonder if I should just settle into what's familiar instead of chasing what feels uncertain. But every time I try to convince myself to shrink my expectations, something inside me resists it. And I've learned to trust that resistance. But I know this, if you feel that quiet pull, that you're capable of more, that's not ego, that's awareness. Awareness doesn't automatically create change, it invites change. And maybe that's where you are, not broken, not behind, just mid-climb. And mid-climb doesn't look impressive, it looks uncertain, it feels slow, but it's honest. So if you've been asking yourself, I did everything right, so why am I still here? Maybe here isn't punishment. Maybe it's a pause before redirection. And maybe you don't need to become more disciplined. Maybe you need to become more deliberate. If you're in that stage too, you're not alone in it. Growth doesn't always look like arrival. Sometimes it looks like tension before expansion. Let yourself expand. Thank you for staying and listening. If this conversation resonated with you, you might also want to watch the next video, Why You Always Give More Than You Get. If you'd like to support this space, you can like, comment and subscribe. It genuinely helps this reach other people who might be sitting with the same questions. If you enjoy my content and would like to support the channel, you can leave a little tip via the PayPal link in the description. And if you want to be here for the next conversation, you can turn on notifications. Your support doesn't just help the channel grow, it reminds me that I'm not the only one thinking about these things quietly, and that matters more than you know. Sending you all so much love. Until next time, keep becoming.